Hi, Si here from MusicRadar, joined once again by FM editor Si Truss.
Hi.
Who has been lovely to bring the MacBook with him because it's got
the MacBook,
the only MacBook ever.
I have brought my personal Mac from home.
Yes, not a work one. It's not a work one
No,
because
it's not a work one. Bitwig Studio 3. So we're going to be a bit unusual here, and we're going to talk about. Normally we talk about hardware things.
We're going in the box.
We're going in the box because I just want to talk about Bitwig a little bit. It is a full DAW, and so there's loads going on. It's really deep, so we're not going to do a proper deep dive into anything. I basically just want to have a little excuse to talk about it because I absolutely effing love Bitwig 3.
Yes, and mostly because of what have they put in?
Well, a thing called the grid, but there is other things that already make it great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of that getting drunk down the pub and just telling people about it stage.
It's fine.
Which is literally something I did the other day. Which makes me a very boring person to go out with.
You're on commission.
I should actually point out that normally whenever we do a video like this and we kind of go on about how much we love something, people will always come and be like, "Oh, you've been paid to say this." I've not been paid to say this. I honestly just...
No one's paying us.
No.
Not even the company we work for.
No.
No joke.
Anyway, so Bitwig, if you've never heard of Bitwig Studio, basically what it is, it's a DAW, so, you know, like things like Ableton Live, Logic Pro, Reason, etc., etc. It is kind of intrinsically linked to Ableton Live because they share a bit of the same history. So Bitwig originally was created by some developers who are former Ableton employees, and there are some notable similarities. So when Bitwig 1 came out a few years ago, they kind of unavoidably
had some similarities. Looked pretty similar.
Because there's a few workflow things, like if we just jump into the different views here, you'll see there's like clip launchers here. You have effects, synths and effects, things with names like, for example, let's just go to the EQ5. Anyone who has used Ableton is aware of EQ8.
Yeah.
Things like EQ5 here looks
very similar.
Notoriously similar.
Yeah.
So there are similarities. However, in recent years through various updates, Bitwig has basically formed its own personality, mostly by doing some really interesting creative things. So, for example, it's got really open way that it works with MIDI controllers. It can be used with touchscreen devices. It's generally a lot kind of broader and more open than a lot of other DAWs.
Yes.
One of the major things, really interesting things about Bitwig, which was introduced for version 2 a couple of years back, is their system of modulators, which is really cool. I'll just demo that really quickly. Let's just go onto here.
Give it a little refresher.
Basically what these modulators do, it's their modulation system, which is really open and basically lets you add as many modulators from a list of things like LFOs and envelopes and performance tools to basically any plugin, be it a built-in Bitwig one or a third-party one. So, for example, let's load up Hive, so UHE Hive, third-party synth, obviously there. Close that down. Then I open this little modulator thing here, and these pluses here mean I can select any modulator from this list. So obviously we've got envelopes, we've got various types of LFO, we've got input things, we've got kind of MPE style polyphonic expression things, randomization things. Let's just go with a classic LFO, and then I can just click this below, and then any parameter here from the whole list of Hive's features and parameters. I can just click that, drag it, modulate it, and you can add an unlimited amount of these to anything, including Bitwig's hardware devices. So basically, you can effectively, if you've got something with MIDI or even CV, you can add an unlimited amount of modulators to do anything you want, which is super cool.
So however, so Bitwig 2 blew our minds with that, and then
now we've got something called the grid. So Bitwig 3 is just been released. The kind of only there's a few kind of small quality of life and little features added, but the only real feature is the grid, which comes in the form of two devices called Polygrid and Effects Grid. What is the grid? It is this. It is a open, kind of completely open-ended, effectively modular synth within the DAW.
So users of Reactor or even sort of more script-based stuff might recognise the sort of workflow that's going on here.
Yeah. So in a concept itself, it's not 100% original in that, like you said, you've got things like Reactor or things like Max or kind of VCV Rack or Soft Tube Modular, which are kind of emulate Eurorack in software world. It's
It's
kind of
how
similar.
it's deployed
Kind
here,
of similar to
isn't
that. Yeah, the thing that's really good here is the ease of use and
Yeah.
simplicity. So, what we've got here is this is Polygrid. Polygrid and Effects Grid, the only real difference, they're basically the exact same plugin. The only difference is you open it up. Effects Grid has an audio input for processing audio. Polygrid is set up to just create sounds.
Yeah.
Polygrid, one
Yeah.
thing I really like about it is when you just open it up from its initialized state, unlike some things like kind of Reactor or Max or stuff, where you, if you're completely new to it, you're kind of hit with this
Of a blank
blank
sort of
space and not
canvas,
knowing
and
what
you're
to do.
kind of like, where am I going?
When you open up Polygrid, you basically get this, which is a really simple oscillator amp envelope paired together. So actually, if you just hit play, and we've just made like the most basic MIDI sequence here, but hit
Yeah.
play, and you can straight away get sound out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So even if you've never used a modular synth before and don't really know what's going on, it kind of immediately makes it less daunting.
Yes.
There's a lot of really cool ease of use things that Bitwig have included that make the design of this really nice though. Things such as a nice kind of show help panel for
Okay,
everything, which
that's
gives
nice.
you feedback on what's going on.
Like that.
So patching is really easy. The nice thing about the grid is basically you can patch anything to anything. Not everything's going to work perfectly, but you can just sort of experiment without worry that you're going to break something. There are a few
Yeah.
rules, like you can't, only some modules allow kind of feedback loops,
Yes.
and then you kind of have to use mixed modules to connect kind of inputs and outputs.
Yeah.
But they're kind of simple rules. You can pretty much just start
You
dragging
can always
and
sort
dropping.
of fudge your way around and kind of get to learn all that
Yeah,
stuff. on
so
the-
what you've got,
on the job.
you've got this menu up here with variety of different types of module, everything from oscillators, you've got some filters, you've got ladder and Salon-key kind of style, analog style filters, then kind of basic vanilla filters, cone filters, you've got some cool shaper and distortion effects, you've got a host of LFOs, randomization tools,
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
a load of sequencing
Okay,
tools,
cool,
clock
yeah.
dividers, these maths things here, well, labeled math, but you know, I'm not saying math, which
Just
have
did.
kind of addition, like kind of
Yeah.
things to kind of add and divide and subtract and
yeah.
multiply signals, and far deeper things like that. Logic, a bunch of logic processors,
Yeah.
which you know can make things. You can make things trigger only when other things don't trigger, or things
Stuff we come to accept now that sort of the modular world is very much
Yeah, so it's a lot of
Here to
influence from
stay.
the Eurorack world.
Yeah.
A lot of influence from things like Max and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Some delay tools. And it is, without kind of going too deep into it, it is really, really good. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the grid. Again, ease of use things. I can drag an oscillator on top of an oscillator and it will automatically
swap it.
swap it out.
Yeah.
You can drag filters onto inputs like that, and it will kind of
Just
route things automatically.
Yeah, or route
All
it,
of these
that's good.
oscillators, just talking about these quickly, even these, there's some, so oscillators, you've got some more complex things. You've got like a sampler, and you've got a kind of phase distortion,
Okay.
and unison equipped things.
swarm,
However, even these basic kind of analog style oscillators we've got here, you've got phase modulation inputs, pitch modulation inputs, you've got sync controls for the for the saw
yeah.
and square wave. Triangle waves have got wave folding just straight in it like that.
Yeah.
You've got ratio controls here.
Uh-huh.
So it's really simple to just say, you know, drag a couple of triangles together here. Let's just stick some and just get complex oscillator modulation going. Like literally just
So
with a
easy.
couple of clicks like that to do
Easy.
sort of slightly West Coast style things.
Yeah.
You can go deeper. So I was telling you earlier, let's open up what I've got on the other one here. I was kind of just playing around at home at the weekend.
Oh, I like what you called it.
Yeah.
I like that.
And basically just to have a play with it. And it's worth saying I'm still no expert in this. There's kind of a lot of depth in here.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah. But
definitely
so far,
not qualified to kind of go too in depth. However, I was playing around with this, and what I've done here is basically sort of remade a Moog DFAM,
which you've called
using the grid.
refam.
Yes, it's not entirely accurate. So, but
No, but
we kind of pitch sweepable
the
pitch
essence.
things.
You've got the essence.
Yeah,
going
let's
here.
turn this up a little bit. Hold on. So making use of, like I said, the fact that you can do really easy pitch modulation things.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'm loving this. This is very. So if you know how something works, if you know how a signal flow of an instrument works, you can
kind of just
you
dump
can
in and start
create
playing around. Yeah.
Got your own stuff and
Add in.
and this didn't take you long, right? You said
this is about 45 minutes work of just playing around. And it's it's not exactly a proper authentic
Not like for like
recreation,
no.
but it is a.
Yeah, you've gone for a style and
made a
gone
sort
with
of a weird sequenced. Yeah, like I said, for 45 minutes of messing around and just trying to rip off a hardware device.
yeah,
It's kind of fun.
that is wicked.
Yeah, so basically just showing you that as a, like I said, I kind of just wanted to do this video because I am really, really into Bitwig Studio at the moment.
Yes.
And there's a demo on the website. I think it's worth everyone having a go and having a play because it is really, really good. It's just a lot of fun. It's, takes some just surprisingly deep things, makes them easy to use, make them a lot of fun to play around with. I think they should be commended for it.
Well done them.
Yeah.
Big pat on the back for Bitwig. Thank you very much. Si, thanks so much for giving us a little insight into your mind and the grid. Thank you so much for that. Of course, like, subscribe, comment, share wherever you see this video right now. Check out MusicRadar.com for all the latest news, reviews and tutorials. And of course, FM is always on sale, so get a copy now.
Thanks.
See you later.